Hi guys, and today I'm going to be talking about Twin Peaks again, based on some topics that you've given me in the comments of my last videos and some which I've added myself and put into this nice blue box on bits of paper. Oh. I actually keep random things in this box, so I don't know what else could come out. Picture of a hummingbird, a vulcanite bottle stop. Okay, let's begin. Oh, piece of wire. Most interesting side characters in Twin Peaks. So there's probably going to be a wide definition as to what a side character actually is in Twin Peaks, because even those who have no lines can be very important to Twin Peaks fans. I know that for me, when I think of side characters, I tend to think of people like Miriam in The Return, the teacher. We didn't get to know her an awful lot, but we did see her be part of the Twin Peaks community. We knew that she was a valued member of that community, and we felt sympathy and pain for her when she was hurt. In the two-part opener, there were people like the Max Perlich character who I expected to see more of, especially considering that actor was playing that part, but he got a really small part, and then we just got a little tantalizing glimpse of who he was, and he really wasn't, or seemingly relevant to anything else that happened. We had the Chihuahua lady, another strange kind of character that just popped up and then disappeared again. The latter two characters obviously provided comic relief to some degree, and I think they contribute to this Mark Frost and David Lynchian world where character studies are incredibly important, and we get a very wide range of different types of people, and we often explore their oddities, to say the least. I think some of the most interesting side characters are those that give us something quite deep in the moments that they're on screen, even if they're not on screen for very long. In The Return, the Roadhouse provided us with a lot of strange little scenes in which these random characters would pop up, and some of them I found extremely interesting. Ruby, for example. The itchy girl, name I can't remember. She was one amongst many characters that appeared in the Roadhouse who really piqued my interest. No pun intended. There's probably more that I'm forgetting right now. It really depends on how side you consider them as well. Let me know in the comments who you think is a side character and which ones were the most interesting. Okay. Next one. Are the special effects in The Return dated? You know that scene with Bob, the Bob ball stands out. I know a lot of people at the time sort of said that's a bit weird. It's not really scary. I think what stands out to me is when we saw Dale Cooper in the Red Room in the Black Lodge. I didn't expect any of those kind of effects that we saw with the moving floors and everything, and it was quite clear that we were in a completely different period of television production now. Sometimes I think with mystery and with darkness, it's probably easier to create mood with stillness and by pulling back, by not having as much going on. But I think in this case with Cooper, we were supposed to be experiencing that disorientation that he was living, and the rage of the Red Room, if you like. That sense that everything was out of balance. There was quite a lot of scenes, I think, in which we saw distances highlighted, and it made me feel like time and space were not the same as they were for me in real life, that we were experiencing that from Cooper's perspective, that everything was warped. I think the effects did a good job in that sense. I'm trying to think what other effects there were, but I remember when Cooper he's going through that sequence when he appears in the box and then he appears in the place where the American girl is and there's that vast purple ocean. That reminded me for some reason, and it still does, of kind of 1990s screensavers a little bit. That's awful. Scenes like when Cooper was on the machine that was floating in space and the Philip Jeffries contraption, kettle, machine, whatever you want to call it, they reminded me of David Lynch's static paintings. So I feel like they did a very good job in bringing that vision of his to life. I expect that it was his vision rather than Mark Frost's, because they so closely echo some of the images that might appear in some of his works and which have a fascination or a tendency to focus on industrial type creations and landscapes. So overall, I wouldn't say they were dated. I would say that as an audience we perhaps weren't as prepared to experience things like the Bob Ball and the Philip Jeffries kettle. And I'm sorry for keep calling it a kettle, because I don't think David Lynch liked it being referred to as such. Laura Palmer or Dale Cooper as Twin Peaks hero. Okay, so for me in the first 2 seasons I would have said Dale, because I feel like Laura was more of an absent presence, if you get what I mean. I felt like it was Dale's journey that we were following in that first couple of seasons, and it was Dale's journey where we left off. However, after Fire Walk With Me, I would have said Laura. It was Laura's story. Laura was the hero of the entirety of Twin Peaks. And then after season 3, that would be confirmed that I would say Laura again. It is hard to draw a line between the two of them. And if you think about the last scene, the two of them were present. Do they have equal status as being both the hero and the heroine of Twin Peaks, the equal protagonists, the meaning of the story? I would have to say Laura. Depending on how you interpret it as well, that final scene with Laura and Cooper, or Carrie and Cooper if you like, depending on how you interpret that, I feel like there's a lot of power in that moment when she screams, and it's her power, and there isn't any of that power given to Dale. He is powerless in that scene. He is confused, whereas you could interpret it as she is scared if she's screaming, but the fact that something switches off in that house, something explodes, the story is ended, I feel like that's more of a power than her being scared. I think in terms of emotional depth, there's nothing stronger than Fire Walk With Me in terms of experiencing Laura's last days. And when we get to season 3, I think seeing Laura's origin, knowing her story, knowing her parents' story, Jowday, Bob, everything that she contended with, there's no doubt in my mind that she is the most important aspect of Twin Peaks. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Actually, I don't feel like I've done very many. Okay. David Lynch's weather reports. Well, I like it when he says golden sunshine, and I like it when he says grey skies. Best of both worlds. May as well do one more. Just one more. Should Annie have been in The Return?
My name is Annie.
I think that it would have been nice to see Annie in The Return. I think even for Annie to have been discussed a little more than she was would have been good. I like that we got the story from Mark Frost in his follow-up book. Generally, I still think it's a little weird that Annie was taken out of the picture, and I don't know if Diane kind of replaced her. I don't know if it was a case of the actress actually being squeezed out by the fact that David Lynch was more interested in bringing on Laura Dern and big names like Naomi Watts into the project, and simply didn't have space for an Annie story or time to wrap that up in a way that he wanted before introducing the Diane storyline. I think to a lot of fans it might have made more sense if Annie had been more involved. So the answer I'm going to give is yes. I think I would have liked to have seen her in the return. She's not the only one I would have liked to have seen, actually. I think a lot of us would have liked to have seen people like Chet Desmond, Sam Stanley. I feel like Twin Peaks The Return gave us a definitive ending, more so than we saw in Fire Walk With Me, which also seemed like an ending of sorts, but in a completely different way. I know some people disagree with that and say that you could take the story on if you wanted to, and you probably could. But for me, I feel like that's a good point to stop the story. However, I think in The Return we got a lot of those little vignette type things where there were characters displaced from any other kind of story arc, and I think it would be cool if, you know, Lynch and Frost ever want to return to Twin Peaks, maybe to include Annie in something like that. That would be really interesting. Just a snippet from Annie of where she is, what's going on with her. I know where she is, according to Mark Frost. But wouldn't it be creepy and haunting to be able to see that? I actually find it really difficult to talk about Twin Peaks now since season 3 ended, because it's like you're talking about two realities at the same time, which in fact you are, because you have a reality that really didn't happen anymore and you have a reality that did. So it's really difficult. But yes, I would have liked to see Annie. I would have liked to see Heather Graham. I think that she is an actress who became much more accomplished as she went through her working life, and that she could have brought a lot to Twin Peaks The Return. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for today. Thank you very much for leaving your comments. If you would like to add a comment to be put into this box of delights, please do so in the comments below and I will add it. I'm going to do a video each week, probably until the comments are gone. Okay, thank you very much for watching today, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!